Hi, my name is Josephine and these are my creatures. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are tackling my studio or workroom or craft room. I don't know really what to call it, but this is the room where I create all my dolls and my videos. I used to share it with my boyfriend, but luckily we were able to move him out to a different bedroom in our house finally, because we ended up purchasing our house from his grandparents and there was a lot of their stuff still in the house when we moved in, and only now we've been able to get rid of it, and we did end up keeping some ourselves, but most of it had to go. So now we have the whole big house to ourselves. First of all, I have to move all my stuff because it's in the way. I can't move the furniture if everything is covered with my stuff. So I move that away, I give the floor a little bit of a sweep, I rearrange the furniture. I have been really into watching Feng Shui videos, especially Dear Modern, and he talks about the command position in a room. And I think if I'm correct, the command position is on the back wall right here, and I wanted to reposition my work desk so that I would not be facing the wall and on my back facing the door, because every time someone would walk in I would get startled because I would be so focused on my work that I would not notice them. And it kind of feels claustrophobic being crammed in the corner, so I really wanted to push the desk off of the wall and have a space where I could sit behind it, so I did just that. I wanted to add a little bit more counter space to house all of my bits and bobs and things that I need, all of my supplies, so I ended up getting this pine board. I rounded out the corners, I sanded it down and gave it a light stain to match these two nightstands that I got from my mother, and she actually bought them from her first paycheck to go into her first ever apartment. So they are kind of sentimental, but she was willing to part with them because she didn't have the space and she was just kind of hoarding them because they had some memories for her. So she was really glad to give them to me. So I ended up sprucing them up a little bit with this green chalk paint. That's why I stained the pine board like more this yellow color to match the nightstands. I really loved that I was able to add some counter space that wasn't my desk, because all of this stuff that is now on this additional counter was on my workspace, and that was just eating up the workspace. So now I'm really glad I have this huge kind of setup for all of my supplies, all of the things that I need, nicely displayed and organized. This is how the room is currently looking, and I think it's really shaping nicely, but the back wall is a bit barren, so I think I will add another shelf to it. So I ended up getting another pine board. This is not as wide as the other one, and I ended up sanding it, rounding out the corners, and then staining it a bit darker this time to match the countertop, because I think it just looks nicer to match that instead of the pine things that are a bit lower. I spray painted the hardware black because I couldn't find any black shelf brackets for some reason, so I had to spray paint them. I fixed the shelf in place with some screws and a, what's that called? No, that's not a screwdriver. Screwdriver is one of those handy things. This is like a power tool. Driver? Impact driver? Just a power tool, okay. And then I organized all my paint supplies and other bits and bobs onto the shelf, and it's really handy because I can just turn around on my chair and reach everything that I need. So I already had this metal notice board and I wanted to get a second one because I really like it, and now I have more room for it. I ended up organizing it It is a mix of useful items like my paints. What else do I have? Paints, my Mr. Super Clear spray, my notebook, a lot of that stuff, and then also decorative items as well. I added a cat tree right next to the window for my monster assistant. He's not very helpful, but I do appreciate his company. I ended up ordering this tapestry / blanket from Cider, and I really do like it. I ended up getting some clothes as well. I really like them too. What do you think? Do you think they suit me? Would you wear something like this? Or is your style completely different than mine? Let me know in the comments. We had this old rug left at the house when we moved in, so I thought I would repurpose it. It kind of reminded me of moss, but moss, it doesn't really grow as a rectangular, doesn't it? It goes more organically, so I used some glue to stabilize it before I cut into it. And I made this more organic, irregular shape out of it. I repurposed the leftover cuttings by sewing them back onto the rug. I added a dowel for hanging it and some hooks to the wall, and then I was ready to hang it. I'm really sorry for my clothing in this clip, but it was so hot. I was doing this in the summer, so please excuse me. I also cut up this cardigan that I was not wearing anymore to add some extra texture to my wall piece. Once the rug was on the wall, I decided to reshape it a little bit. It was just a little bit too rectangular and I wanted it to be really organic and irregular. I added some random pieces straight to the wall with my stapler. Then it was time for hot glue galore. I used hot glue because it was the easiest method of attaching these many pom-poms that I made out of different colored yarn to add to the texture and feel of this moss creation. I did briefly consider sewing all of them on, but I'm so glad that I didn't, because yes, it will be neater and kind of washable that way, but I'm not going to be washing this. I might like vacuum it or kind of give it a little bit of a dusting here and there, but I'm not gonna wash it, so hot glue it is. And I had my little thiefling helping me. He was not very useful because he was sitting on top of all of the remaining pom-poms that I had to glue on, so I had to wait for him to leave, basically. And then it was a little bit more gluing. There was a lot of gluing involved making this moss thing, and a lot of pom-pom making as well. I was not liking the tapestry color scheme. I would definitely like wear these colors. I really like them, but they don't really go with my channel branding because everything is purple. So I decided to paint it using acrylic paint. First, I watered down the mixture, but then I realized it was bleeding a lot, so I just used the paint out of the tube. It did make the texture a bit rough when it dried, but I much rather have that than bleeding, so thick paint it is. I mixed a variety of different purple tones and painted the different sections of the butterfly and other motifs. And while I was in the painting mood, I decided to paint some of my storage containers. Sometimes you can kind of see glimpses of these while I'm filming my dolls, so I wanted them to match my color scheme as well. I also used a piece of wallpaper to add a little bit of variety and break up the solid colors. I purchased this lamp to add some ambiance to my workroom. I had this bulb already that has a really nice glow, so I knew when I saw the lamp that this bulb would look really good on it. I'm so sorry for all of these outfit changes and my nails changing and my hair changing and the lighting changing. I started doing this project in the summer, probably like June, and it's November. Yeah, it's November. So it took me a long time because I can't really dedicate all of my time to my channel and to my dolls because YouTube ain't paying the bills, man. I have to have my day job. So I have to prioritize sometimes, and YouTube just ends up being put on the back burner, unfortunately. But if you would like that to change, you can leave me a comment and like this video. That will definitely help boost this video up in the algorithm, and many more people might be able to see it. So please consider liking, subscribing and commenting. I have this old chair that was left for us by the previous owners, which are my boyfriend's grandparents. The upholstery has seen better days. It's kind of worn off and not really to my style, so I decided to reupholster it. I picked this really nice leather from my stash. It is a scrap piece that I ended up getting quite cheaply from my fabric store and also saved it from the landfill. I cut up some new batting for the chair because the old ones are really nasty and kind of deflated. They don't really provide any cushioning anymore, so they gotta go. I used a lot of staples to hold everything down. Reupholstering it was quite easy. The only tricky part was the backrest, because there was no really a good way of hiding all the staples, and the leather was just too thick to sew on my sewing machine. But I think I got a pretty good result in the end. I screwed all the pieces back together with the help of my little cat assistant. Isn't he so cute? And this chair was perfect. I was so happy sitting on it, and it also swivels, so it's really easy for me to grab something from the shelf and then just swivel right back to my work. The next upcycle will be this old bathroom cabinet. This kind of came with the house. It was in a room that leads to a bathroom. So I'm gonna be taking it apart and cleaning it and sanding it and then spray painting it black. Now, I was an idiot and did this indoors. Whenever I've spray painted, I've never made a huge mess. Like, obviously, if you miss the part that you're spray painting, it's gonna leave a mark. So that's why I have the cardboard box. But something that I did not realize is there's this huge amount of small particles just flying everywhere. They covered this whole room. It was such a mess. Like, there was black stuff all over the floor, the surfaces, the rug. The rug was covered in this black kind of dusty thing, and I just could not get it off. It wasn't like sticky. It kind of dried when it flew through the air, and then it just landed as kind of dust dew. But because the carpet is like hairy, it's carpet, it stuck to it, and I tried vacuuming it and stuff like that, but in the end I just decided to flip it around. So the backside is dirty now, but you can't tell. So in my mind, that's a win. Yeah. I painted the sliding doors green. I decided to cover the backside of the mirror sliding doors with wallpaper, because I really like this motif. This is a really cool tip. I used some notice board clips that I purchased for the wire rack as handles. I just slide them on. I used a bit of masking tape to protect the mirror, and obviously this is going to be completely removable if in the future I want to flip the doors over and have the mirror side on the outside again. I mounted it to the wall next to my notice boards, and I think it fills out the space really nicely and provides me with a lot more storage where I can hide some of the more uglier supplies that I don't want to be like out and about all the time. And I ended up going back to the store where I got the notice boards and grabbed some more of those black clips and hooks, also a magazine rack as well, and these foldable baskets. I added back the shelves to this cabinet. I also painted those black, but I didn't have enough paint to cover the back sides as well, so a little bit of that old orange is still showing through, but it doesn't really bother me, and if I end up purchasing a little bit more spray paint in the future, I can just spray those as well. But I didn't want to get like a brand new can just to cover the backside of something that isn't going to be that visible in the end. And the green foldable baskets I got for this cabinet did not fit. They were like 2 millimeters too big and the doors would not slide shut. So I have to find another place for them, but that is not a problem. There's always a tons of small bits and bobs in need of a home. I added this glass picture frame that also acts as a mini shelf to put some decorative items on. While I was at the store, I also grabbed this new picture frame for this squirrel print that I got from a thrift store. I really love squirrels. I think they're so cute. I had to cut the mat a little bit to get the picture to fit within the frame, but that was really easy, and in the end, it looks really cute. I hanged all the pictures that I love on top of my notice board to have a lot of clutter on the walls because it helps distribute the sound more equally in this room while I'm filming. The mermaid drawing is one that I made when I was a teenager. The Medusa head is from an artist called Leilani Joy. Poster with a really nice quote on it. You have a squirrel and then this violet print that I also really like. I added a clock to this awkward space between the door and the tapestry. And with that, we're all done. Let's take a look on the before pictures to see the space as it was when we began. I was very cramped in the old room. I did end up changing the chair that you see in most of the clips. That's just located on the corner. I think the old chair was a bit too bulky. It is quite a squeeze to fit a chair in this corner, but I really wanted to sit here and film my intros and outros against this nice backdrop that I just created. So I switched it out with my acrylic chair that's more airy. It fits the corner a bit better. I love this room. I've been in an art block for like almost 1.5 years at this point, and I was hoping that if I would work on this room and get it to a state where every time I walk in I feel really happy and I want to be in this room and I want to craft again and create again, and it really has done that for me. Every time I walk in it inspires me and I have all of this new space. I love my desk that it's like 3 times the size now that I have all the desk to myself. I don't have to share it with anyone, and I have all of my stuff kind of pushed to the sides so that I have more workspace, which is so great. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave me a comment if you haven't yet done that. I would love to know what you think of my space. Would you have done something differently? Would you have added something else? Would you have chosen other colors? Or do you really like what I have created? I would just love to know. So leave me a comment down below. I would very much appreciate it. I have 2 new dolls coming up, so I'm hoping to push those videos out before the end of the year. So stay tuned, and until next time, bye!